make it, do it makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
Greg Valentino is in the Guinness Book of Records for having the world's biggest biceps. If you have a 28-inch waist, Greg's arms are bigger than you are.
How you doing? I'm Greg Valentino, and I have the biggest arms in the world. No bullshit. I've been training 28 years, and I earn these babies. I definitely have Napoleon complex. Without a doubt, I definitely do. I don't like being short. I guess it's when you're a big man in a little man's body, you know what I mean? I just felt like, you know, I like the feeling of walking into a place like a club or something, you know, and you just, it's like, everybody's like, yo, what's up, you know, and they come running over to you, know? I just like the attention.
So Greg Valentino began a 30-year bodybuilding journey.
At first I was very, you know, I felt self-conscious about it. Then as I got older, I realized, man, this is getting me attention. And then you equate bigness and builtness with, you know, it's respect. You know, you get respect. The big kid in school, the real built guy, always like, yo, don't fuck with him, don't mess with him, you know?
Ultimately, though, after 2 decades, being simply huge was not enough.
Flex them, flex them, flex them, flex them, flex the traps.
So 5'5" Greg decided to go wide.
Dude, I trained 23 years natural without taking steroids. But when it came to the point where I was at the brink, at that level, I'm either going to take it and take myself to the next level. Is it worth it or not? The small man thing took over. I mean, I just felt like I have to get bigger. I have to, and that drive brought me to, you know, just do whatever it took. And in that case, I had to make a decision one day, and that's when I decided I'm going to juice my mind out.
Dr. Harrison Pope is the world's leading authority on male body image issues. His 2 decades of research have produced startling new revelations.
I believe, and we have written about this in our scientific papers, that bigorexia, or what we call technically muscle dysmorphia, is a sort of obsessive-compulsive disorder. It seems to me that this phenomenon of bigorexia is particularly prevalent in guys who get into competitive bodybuilding and use anabolic steroids. These are guys who will be very large and muscular, but who look at themselves in the mirror and still think that they look too small or too wimpy.
I got 2 choices. You can do 100 of these squats, or you can stick steroid needles in your butt. Let's see who quits. I won 22 titles, including Mr. USA, Most Muscle Man USA, and Mr. America. Absolutely clean. No steroids, okay? And a friend of mine said, come on over to Europe and why don't you come over and just take a look at the guys and spend some time in Europe. So I spent some time in Europe, and he convinced me to take some steroids against my better judgment. You know, a time of weakness. He says, listen, you train so hard. He says, imagine what you'd look like if you took steroids the way you train. I said, well, I don't know. I never did this before. He says, yeah, just try a little bit. See, there's the mistake. There's no little bit. That's the problem with this stuff. People say it isn't addictive. It absolutely is absolutely addictive.
The short-term medical problems with steroids are relatively modest, and that is one of the reasons that people are tempted to use them. Certainly, there are some guys who get acne. There can be, in some cases, growth of female breast tissue. Most guys who use these drugs don't notice much of anything in the way of short-term effects. And of course, the long-term effects are rarely a consideration, because if you're an 18-year-old who wants to look bigger and more muscular next month, you're not going to be worrying about whether you're going to get a heart attack when you're 60.
Greg Valentino was about to find out.
Anything in excess is going to cause side effects. And of course, there's not a bodybuilder on this planet who has not had some sort of side effects from taking steroids, even some supplements. You know what I mean? It could be something simple, as in taking a protein powder and having, you know, shitting every 5 minutes, you know, blasting farts all day, and, you know what I mean? You ever been around a guy that lifts weights? You're like, dude, you know, every 5 minutes you're smelling, you know, rotten ass. And that's because You know, he's blowing his ass up, you know, from taking all the supplements. Well, that's a small side effect. When you're taking steroids, you get big side effects. And of course, I had big side effects.
After years of steroid injections, Greg's bicep was fighting back.
I had tons of, you know, needles, you know, syringes, needles, the whole bit. And I'm over there reusing needles, dropping the damn thing on the floor, blowing it off, wiping it off, and then you stick that in you, and you get infections, you know? And that's what happened. You know, I wound up getting an infection, and when I got the infection, it starts off, you get a bad fever, the area gets red, soft, pussy. It was like a giant zit in there. It was just loaded with pus. And if you don't do something about it, you can wind up in a hospital and kill yourself, you know what I mean? It could kill you.
Greg knew he was in serious trouble, so he decided to operate on himself.
What you're watching is I had a hematoma in my arm, and I'm draining the blood. Now look, here you got the needle. Look, it's going right into the bicep. Now look, now it's hanging out of the bicep. And this film was like friggin' 15, 20 minutes of just constant pulling shit out. Look at that. I'm filling up whole syringes, and I just keep going and going and going. Look, you can see the needle is starting to bend. Oh, man. I love it, though. It's fucked up. It almost looks like a murder scene. There's blood all over the floor. There's blood everywhere. It's really fucking gross. It just sinks in like a balloon filled with water. Look at the chunks of shit in there. It was fucked up.
Greg's home surgery didn't work. After 20 minutes of self-mutilation and 2 tumblers of coagulated blood, Greg ended up in emergency surgery.
I deserved it. I was an idiot. I was an idiot, you know?
His beautiful, world-beating bicep was hacked to pieces.
You see the difference? Look, that arm's round. That arm's not. You see, when he cut it, you see the cut? When he cut that, went in, forms a scar. That's a scar. I gotta get that taken care of. I'm totally self-conscious about that, you know?
Steroids had destroyed Greg Valentino's body. He thought things couldn't get any worse. But they did.
When you take anabolic steroids, they take over running your body. The problem is, it's very difficult to come off. And the only way you come off is if tragedy struck. And that's what happened to me. Or else I still probably would have been on.
Steve first knew something was wrong when he started passing blood in his urine. It was his liver dissolving.
Right for sonogram, we found a grapefruit-sized tumor and 3 golf ball-sized tumor on my liver. I wound up in the hospital. I went cold turkey. The physical symptoms were I had extreme pain because of the liver tumors. Every joint in my body was hurting beyond imagination. My body shrunk down from 220 pounds to about 146 pounds. I almost lost my mind. I wound up in a mental institution. A mental institution. It's just a horror story.
And then came the finale.
You plant one little tiny seed of anabolic steroid in your body, even one cycle of steroids, one. That seed grows, embedded in every cell in your body over years and years and years until it's a full-blown something. Tumor, cancer, prostate, infertility. That's what happened to me. I thought I was over it, I got off this stuff, but no, it was still playing its dirty tricks on me. And what do I get? I get a massive heart attack. Right? Because the steroid time bomb was still kicking. Even though your muscles on the outside are big, on the inside you are rotting and you're rusting. And this is what happened to me. Boom, rush me to the hospital, bam, heart surgery. This happened to a lot of bodybuilders, the heart surgery. I'm fine, finally get over that. Got it all clear, I'm all done. Boom, I get hit with a stroke. Okay? And this is all from the steroids that rots the arteries slowly from the time when I first took them in my early 20s.
By the time Steve Mihalik's steroid journey was over, he was left with a testosterone level of a 12-year-old girl and testicles the size of peanuts. But he's lucky to be alive. So it seems is Arnie. Arnold Schwarzenegger took steroids, and like Steve, he's had heart problems, undergoing heart surgery in his early 50s.
Work it, make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.